So, what I want to talk about here is what does it mean to be on an editorial board of an academic journal? I think you might have heard of that before if you're at all familiar with somebody that's in science or doing research. You might have heard of editorial boards, or you might have heard of scientific journals. And this is just an outlet for a scientific journal is an outlet for people to. My dog, she's licking. She's a big licker. It's a scientific outlet. That's what I'm trying to say. It's an outlet that you send your work to. So if you have a scientific breakthrough, you write it up and then you send it to a journal, and then there's an editorial board that looks at this. And it's a lot different than what you think in terms of the normal editorial boards. So I want to talk about that. So if you don't know me, I'm Professor Dave Massack. I'm an Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship. And I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor for to help you out. And this is Izzy. Maybe she'll come up. I don't know. Come on up, Izzy. Izzy. Oh, she does not like this. She's gonna, oh my gosh. She's gonna kill me. Okay. So what is she clearly is not liking this. So what is an editorial board? What do they actually do? So generally you have some sort of expertise in a journal and you're being recognized by others as a expert in your field. And that's what it means, is that you're some sort of expert, and journals really vary, but the good ones are comprised of a bunch of experts that are really, really talented in their particular area. So what editorial board members actually do, so they'll review other scientists' work in a particular area. And then in our field, that means, you might be reading anywhere between, 4 to 10 different articles a year. So like one a month, basically, and then you're giving recommendations on those particular articles, on what they should do, and give them feedback on what they're trying to do. So articles are usually in my field, and it's different in everybody's field and what you're doing. They're usually about 40 pages long or so. And then you give recommendations. You have to write about 3 to 4 pages. You might write a little less. Maybe it would be really short to be 1 page. It would be super long to be like 6 pages. So it's kind of in between there. And then, it's point by point. And then, they have to, the people that are looking at it, the scientists have to address those particular issues. And that's really what an editorial board does, is they're vetting the scientific work, and they're making sure it actually is all together and it works just fine. So it's actually a really tough job in terms of what you're actually doing. You don't get paid, you don't get, credit for it in any sort of way, other than the fact that it's a feather in your cap and you're helping out other people. You get credit in maybe sort of increasing your job prospects, but the way that I actually imagine the job, it's, that I've reviewed enough and, doing different things. I kind of imagine myself as just being a helpful teacher. And at this point, I've just got to imagine myself as doing, just helping other people out with it. So I try to give as many recommendations and stuff. And you want to just make sure that the journal is doing good stuff. And so, generally it's, so this is the worst part is, these journals are stinking hard to get into. Anyone that's credible is stinking hard to get into. So most of the time you give a rejection recommendation. That's like kind of the general norm, just because it's really hard to get into these journals, and like the requirement is really like rigorous. And so every once in a while though, like say 1 out of 25, 1 out of, or 25%, 10% of the things that you actually look at is worthwhile. And you're like, hey, this is not a bad idea. We should maybe take a look at it. And then you'll give like, hey, let's do a major revision of some sort. It never happens that you get like a minor revision right off the get-go, which is like, change a couple of things, change the intro, those kind of things. That never happens. That is just like the crazy weird thing. But most of the time, it's just like your stuff is crap, and you have to redo everything, and that's the nature of the field. That's the nature of like most scientific fields, and it's tough. But that's really what ends up happening. And you know, and their work is not crap. It's just that there's flaws that they would not have seen, and it's hard to see that unless somebody else gives them sort of advice on how to address this. And what we're looking at is not only more reliable and valid science, but also science that has a larger impact. And so I think that those combinations is really important to think about. And so you're thinking about like, is this a good story? Is this, are people going to pay attention to it? Is this novel? Is this interesting? A lot of different things. And it's a tough job. And for the actual editors, like the true editors, like the editor of this. So their editorial board is like a group of people. But then there's like an editor or an associate editor or somebody like that sort of oversees everything. They have a really hard job because they are giving these recommendations and nobody ever likes them. And it's just the nature of the beast. So with that, hopefully you like this video. Give me a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.